Hello, everyone, everybody. Hello, everyone, everybody, and welcome to my channel. Oh, my eyeliner is not on point. So, as I fix it, let's talk about, well, this this video, I guess, today is about goth music. I'm goth, I love music, I'm in a band. My name is Kesem. Hello, how are you? I hope you are doing well today and that you are warm and nice and cozy and that you like goth music because that's what we're going to talk about. Well, I'm going to be kind of like discussing my journey with music, with goth music specifically. I would recommend bands and artists that I enjoy listening to and kind of give you like a brief history of goth music in general. Well, I don't know enough. I didn't really do a lot of research specifically for this video. It's just like the research that I did for myself as a goth person who cares about like the knowledge of the community. So anyway, with no further ado, let me fix the eyeliner. And well, I wanted to say something more as I fix the eyeliner, but even that line was enough to fill in the cinematic gap. Perfect. So, I'm goth. What that means for me, well, I don't know what goth means for me. I do know. I'm in love with the tragedy. The life is a tragedy in some way. And I love seeing like the light in the darkest times. And I feel like that's what goth, like what being goth is, what goth really is. Like I love goth literature and goth music, goth, stories, poetry, all of those, like they have a theme of darkness and kind of like a tragedy in a way, which this is what made me fall in love with goth because I could relate to that. I don't know why my intuition always was like kind of pulling me to that kind of finding the beauty in the tragedy type way, whether that would be appearance, it also can be translated like that, people would say my facial features, right, are ones of an angel, but I look like, like this, you know what I mean? Um, like I always, my whole life, my grandmom would tell me, because I was always a bit like this, I always kind of had goth elements. I was always in love with a tragedy, and I would always ask shitload of questions about everything and anything, and I would, as an Aquarius, kind of like present myself as a bit tougher than I actually was, and as tough in general. And she would always say like, "Oh, you look like this. You look like a devil, but you're actually an angel inside." And that's kind of the beauty and the tragedy. Like something made me look this way. Like I'm not saying something made me look this way, but the tragedy is that I look this way. That I could be an angel. You know what I mean? Like the tragedy is if you look like what you Susie and the Bench, The Cure. The Cure is the most perfect way, even though some people don't really like they definitely did start the movement and sprinkling a bit of history right there, but they are not fully goth from the beginning. But I feel like the themes are very goth because they Boys Don't Cry. It's such a goth song in my opinion because it's like the tragedy of like, well, I will break down at your feet and I will beg forgiveness, plead with you. Like I would do all these things, right? If I knew it would help to fix our relationship, but I just know it doesn't, so I'm not gonna bother. And I'm not gonna cry about it because big like boys don't cry. I can't show my emotions about it. You know, it's such a beautiful tragedy, you know, when you think about it. So that's how I see it. And for example, right now I'm reading this book. I want to say even a novel, I don't know. It's a fantasy book. It's called Age of Dracula. It's by Kim Newman. I think that's how you say his name in English. But yeah, super amazing, super amazing book. I can't stop reading it. I love it so much. And it's so dark. Like, it's so goth. If anything is goth, is that book. Because the setting is just like in old Victorian England, in the rain, it's like in the winter, where it's like a civilization where both vampires and humans coexist, and they show you like the dark sides of, first of all, Dracula is, here's a book recommendation on the way if you like. This is a mishmash of many things, but you will get out of this video with all the information you were hoping to get out of with. Just not as straightforward as you thought. I like having fun around telling things and not just like getting straight to the point because that's boring. I have a lot to say, so I'm gonna say it. But yeah, I'm a craze. Did I not say that already? I did. I should stop. Anyway, the book is coexisting, yeah, vampires and humans, and Prince Dracula is married to Queen Victoria of England. You know, the Queen Victoria, Victorian England. He's married to her, and he's a vampire. She's not a vampire, and nobody likes him because, you know, he's Dracula. He's this, like we know him in history, this murderous, this cruel person, you know. So at the end of the day, everybody remembers him as being that, the way he was in real life. That way is like a very realistic portrayal of what actually happened if vampires were actually real. We were actually living with vampires at that time, and stories of Dracula were actually real, you know. And it, you know, it talks really about, the setting is always like misty. It talks about the, you know, poverty in Whitechapel and in places like that, and describes it in great detail. And yeah, you can really sense the gothness. I don't know how to explain it. Just you can, it says goth all over it. So I like that. Definitely. I would definitely recommend. I read it in Hebrew, but I am sure you could definitely find in English the original. About music genres, well, a bit of the history first before we begin to my recommendations would be that around the late 70s, after the punk movement was developed, kind of like an underground movement that kind of took a more elegant way to the punk and kind of mixed it in kind of like a dark, instead of like being all out and, you know, can I describe it with a zodiac sign? I would describe it with a zodiac sign. Instead of being like very Aries or like Libra, they took it in a very like Capricorn or Pisces sense. Very like poetic. Very like, yeah, poetic. That's the way. That's the way to describe it. Like they took punk and made it poetic and dark. So it began, well, with sounds, they made the bass more dominant. The drums had echoes, like it was very echoey time. Like, I don't know much about that. No, I know like about the vocals. The vocals were very like dramatic. It was kind of like theater. It was Shakespeare. I would say Shakespeare is also goth because have you read Shakespeare? That's goth. Um, Edgar Allan Poe, everybody knows that's goth, but like I don't know. We can debate for hours what we think is goth and not goth. I would gladly have this discussion on another day. But um, goth. I'm trying to pick up on what I was saying. So I got nervous. So yeah, even the vocals, they were more dramatic. The music was more echoey, more dramatic, like for theater type vibe. Like I said, like for it was like Shakespeare type vibes. You know what I mean? Something like that. All of a sudden, I got really awkward, and I'm like, you know, I don't know. I'm shy. Okay, stop looking at me. So, okay, yeah. Bands like Bauhaus and Susie and the Banshees and The Cure and the Smiths kind of like started that movement of, well, it kind of is split it into two categories. There's like the kind of disco and goth side movement, which is the Cure and the Smiths, which they do have very goth, well, not the Smiths, but Cure does have a goth album, but I don't know if they describe it as goth. I don't know. I'm saying what I would categorize it as. Yeah, they do. Um, but at the beginning, they were very goth, like I said, with the topics without actually having the music be goth. It's like a very cheerful music, like boys don't cry. It's actually very up, you know, you like I don't know, happy music. I don't know. And Smith is actually disco music, like it's also happy, like the boy with a thorn in his side. It's like so jolly, you wanna just dance to or something. So we kind of made the idea of portraying tragedy in that way more appealing, which kind of helped people. I guess people were inspired by that. Darkly inclined people were really sorry. Darkly inclined people were inspired by those things, by those creations, and took it in a dark way. And instead of yelling and screaming, you know, you have metal, you have rock, you have punk, you have grunge, and you do have, well, how would I say it? Like symphonic metal, but like it's not quite it. You know, you have that itch of like, I can create something that's somewhere punk, you know, fun to listen to, hype, you know, has a headbang, you know, and also includes those deep stories and deep tragedies and philosophical meanings behind all of these things, right? You can listen to Bauhaus songs and you're like, what the fuck is he saying? Like, what the fuck is this about? Siouxsie and the Banshees, you can actually more understand what what she's meaning, what they're meaning. I don't know who wrote the lyrics, but it's like very poetic, very exaggerated, very dramatic. Yeah, dramatic. um, More close to the to no 90s. Yeah, 90s. It became kind of like a big thing, and many bands in Europe, especially, started like popping up and being fairly known, fairly, like Sisters of Mercy, for instance, and what else? She passed away. So yeah, they started popping off, blah 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 blah. Towards the 2000s, things became a bit, pop punk became kind of like a thing, right? So, and also synthwave and dark wave became more of like a common thing. People started using those types like of synthesizers and things in music more often. So people started doing that music more often. So that kind of like darkly inclined people kind of took that and played with that and added that to the goth genre as well towards the 2000s. Toward the 2010s, things are kind of like being stagnant in my opinion. It's like things are more upbeat than what you might hear a long time ago, like in the 90s. It's a bit more poppy, but it's still the same thing. It has the same vibe. It still has. Actually, I haven't seen something goth and unique in a while that is like claimed to be goth in a while. But yeah, it's very, yeah, very, very good. Very good. I recommend it if you like music, if you like rock, punk, for instance, if you're darkly inclined and you just wanna, maybe get more into the lyrics, get into the deep sounds, experience the darkness a bit. Okay, my recommendations. I have a few. I have a bit of a weird taste, and like I said, things that I consider as goth, some people would firmly, believe me, will tell you are not goth. Marilyn Manson. I've already made so many people upset. So, okay. Actually, Marilyn Manson has some really dope music, but that's not goth music. Is he goth? That's what I think. And also, I kind of think that his music is goth in a way because he's more. Well, it's kind of it's very complicated, but what I want to say because it's like it takes goth thing because he says things like I'm an abortion that survived and things like that. And it's like this was never my world. You took the angel away. I killed myself to make everybody pay. Like it's deep things, and it's like goth in my opinion. But yeah, I recommend Marilyn Manson, but not as a goth thing, just in general, not as a person because he's a hideous person, so like we know, and we do not support behavior like that. But we just like good music around here, and we don't really give a shit about that. I don't know. Hitler did paintings. I respect painters. I'm a painter. I don't respect Hitler, but he did paintings. What am I gonna say? And they were nice. What am I gonna say? I'm Jewish. Like, can I say that? I'm not. What? Who am I to just, Okay. First, I would definitely recommend Bauhaus. Bauhaus. If you like a good like getting into it, maybe some if you like Nirvana, any in Sex Fiend, They're also reminding of Nirvana in that way, of Marilyn Manson also in that way, that they're like kind of random. Their music contains like random noises, and it's kind of like punk, that they're like just yelling. It's on key, but they're like yelling. It's not singing. It's not even screaming. It's just yelling. You know what I mean? And they kind of tell a story through that, and it's pretty cool. For Alien Sex Fiend, I would definitely recommend In Cause We Rust, In God We Trust. That's definitely a song. She's a killer. It's one of my favorite songs. It's a very good song. Zombified. Zombified is a good song. Yeah. Well, this is for my beginner stage, kind of like start with this, maybe, you know, put a bit in here and there, some The Cure, The Smiths. It's research you're going to be doing, yeah? It's commitment. When I give recommendations, I give them from all of my heart because I have a very varied music taste. I listen to everything, everything on the planet. Like even North Korean music, the only playlist that they have, I've listened to it while I was painting more than once. Yeah, and when something is good, when it comes from me, you know it's good, baby. You know I'm supplying you with the good shit. Susie and the Banshees, I would definitely recommend. Next level, I'm gonna give you kind of like when you get to understand the genre a bit more, you would see how kind of like varied it really is. Because, like, in the genre itself, you have subgenres and subgenres, and it just sounds complicated, but when you actually listen to it, you can immediately kind of recognize what is what. Like, Bauhaus sounds very different than the Smiths, you know, doesn't sound anything like it, right? I would also recommend Nosferatu, which is a very good band in my opinion. I have the deep vocals and I love the this has kind of like an 80s environment, an 80s feel to it, and it's very goth in my opinion in that sense. We also have The Mission, and you have Two Witches. You have a band that I really like that is called the Scary Bitches. They have a song named Lesbian Vampires from Outer Space. It's a very good band. I really recommend it. It's both, I think, two ladies, three ladies, and they have I'm the Woman Who Killed Jack the Ripper. Yes, that is a song as well. One of my absolute favorite bands, London After Midnight. I would recommend all of their albums, all of their songs, very good. But if I had to choose something to kind of get you into them, I would definitely recommend you what I got in, like what I first listened to when I listened to them, which is to Kiss, Demon, Sacrifice, and Black Cat. As you can see, if you're listening to these, something that's very common with all of them is that it's all very dramatic. It's all very like exaggerated and it's theatric almost. So that's why I really love it because it combines also like this elegance with the darkness. It's not like punk. I'm not saying this in a bad way. I don't dislike punk. I listen to punk. I am not punk. What I am is goth. But punk is all about, like, with the music I'm saying, punk music. It's all about going at it, like saying everything you want to say without filter. Nobody can filter you. Fuck like the government. People can tell you what to do, what to think, what to feel. You're your own boss. Be shameless, like, be activists. Like, this is punk, you know? This is what they sing about, what their message is. And goth is more like less that fiery aspect, like I described it in Aries, less of that and more of like a Capricorn or like a Virgo, a philosophical way, like thinking like instead of the actually doing, okay, fuck the system, this is actually practical, like um the hippies were trying to solve it with like, I guess, love and peace, but at some point a group developed that didn't really see love and peace solving anything to them. They started going in attack. That is an action, that's doing, that's punk. And goth is more for yourself. It's like the thought. It's like, well, I'm an air sign, so of course I'm a goth. Okay, I'll stop. I won't stop. I'm just saying that to make you kind of feel better, but I will never stop because I find it fun. And I know some people do understand what I'm talking about. All you astrology babes. So, at the end of the day, yeah, what did I say? What band was it? It was not Sisters of Mercy, it was Nosferatu. Nosferatu, that's what I said. I got so lost because I'm also super high. Like I said, I'm recording things for my own fun. You guys are just, deserving of seeing this. I will just jump to another option until I remember or we'll just like continue. So, another goth band that I would recommend that I like is Christian Death. Now, this band is controversial in the sense of like Ross Williams, the lead vocalist of the band, is a supposed, I think proclaimed, I don't know, I would say supposed because I haven't researched it that much, Nazi. Yes. But he's a great musician and a great artist in the sense of like his voice is very like particular. I like listening to it because it does something to me, like it gives me chills, some people have that special voice that gives you the chills, and that's how I feel about Christian Death. Even their like drums, they have super sick drums, the riffs are super, like, I don't know, I love them. Super great, super good band. But if you have like a problem with morals in that sense, then I would less recommend that. But I don't have a problem with it. If you don't have a problem with it, go for it. It is super fun, gets you in a goth mood super fast. Also has punk elements for like some aggressive days. So definitely listen to Bad Offerings if you want a bit like of a feisty, it's still like it's not talking about punk things, but it just sounds a bit punk. It's like in the sense of like the drums are super strong and he's like a bit yelling, but it's like so oh, like it's it's like as if so he's falling, with the voice, like oh, I don't know how more to describe it to you, but you just have to listen to it, I guess. After we have um kind of like a not as known band. You also don't have much information about the band or about any members of it that much, but you do have all of their albums and all of their songs on Spotify. I think also Google Apple Play, something like Apple Play. Yeah, I don't know. I'm also super high, but I would show you here, Deborah. Which she is so hot, and she is the lead vocalist of the band. The band is Diva Destruction. Yes, what a sexy name. Diva Destruction, in the sense of like destroy, you know? Super creative. I really like the idea, I really like the name, and kind of like the attitude that she has. She has like this deep voice, and it's very synthy. The whole genre that they have, it's very like club music, I would say. Not really, but for people who don't listen to trance and techno and stuff like that, or like Goa, I would definitely say that this is a bit more of like party music, because this is very like up. It has like a lot of beat. It's like very synthy. It's very like you have something to move to. So that's pretty cool. Um, and there's also a lot of like cool things in the sounds. They have like a bit of those, um, how they make sounds that I kind of sound like water moving, kind of like sometimes to enhance certain instruments. So they're doing that. It's kind of like a signature thing that they're doing. You noticed, and and they're doing it so good. Makes your ears feel so like, oh, gives me the chills. Her voice, so angelic, so beautiful. All their albums are good. You have Valley of the Scars, which is a very good album. You have Run Cold. Oh shit! Oh, we're back. Okay, so I wasn't here. I thought I was here. Like I thought I thought I started the recording, but I actually didn't. But anyway, never mind. Let's check my Spotify for a moment to see. I can share it with you. I have an actually very cool playlist on Spotify. My friends love it. I love it. It's one of my most prized possessions. So I can definitely share it with you in the description. Sisters of Mercy, as I stated, very good band. They don't describe themselves or categorize themselves as goth, but they are definitely goth. If you listen to the song Marianne, is this is sorry, a very good like song. It's so deep and like emotional, tells a story. It's wonderful. I love the deepness in the vocals, the instruments. I don't know, like I love it. Oh, this is actually uh, I actually don't know this band very well, but this song is super goth and a super like vampire aesthetic. If you're like a goth vampire, hi girl, we stand slay queen. Okay, um, it's called Bloodsucker by Paralysed Age, and it's what it sounds like. It's about like a vampire, but it's like so poetic. It's like, let me read you a bit from this. Okay, okay. Let me drag you down, let me kiss your neck. Please don't be afraid, I'll show you things you won't forget. Now it's too late, I bite, I suck, I empty you. There is no escape, you have to follow me into the empire of the vampire where dreams turn into fright, into the land called Transylvania, where life begins at night. So like, it's talking about, it's very much talking about like vampire, I don't know. It's sung very well, and it's has that dark, echoey, post-punk gothness to it that I like and I connect to. My favorite band of all times, and this is gonna kind of surprise some people, but also make sense to a lot of other people. Throughout my life, I've talked about that band nonstop to some people, but like other people see me as like a person of every genre, every music, everything, and can't even comprehend the fact that I have a favorite band. Neither do I. Neither did I until I actually discovered that they are my favorite band. I've been listening to them since I was 13. Gosh, yeah, 13. Yeah, almost. I was almost 14, and I was only starting to get into like. I remember actually just literally like searched on YouTube, emo music, and I just got and I just got, Fall Out Boy, things like that. And when I searched emo and metal, when I was like 14, I was a real metalhead. So like 13 becoming 14. Um, so then I came across them because they were so dramatic in a sense of like, you know, they the way they presented themselves caught my attention. They didn't look like the other bands that were showing on my suggested. It's Motionless in White. They're my favorite band by far. I literally love all of their music. Like, I've always loved also their music, their aesthetic, their songs, the meaning behind those songs, the whole dynamic. I don't know much about them as individuals because I never really got to see. There was like a time when I was like 15 that did watch like those interviews that they had, with Ashley Costello from New Year's Day and stuff like that. I really liked her as well, and I saw they had like an interview together, and I started watching the interviews and like getting more interested in that, and actually seeing how they are as people, rather like the whole band. I'm not talking about only Ash and Chris Motionless, like the lead vocalist, even though they're mostly the people who are interviewed, but there's like, more people, and it's like seeing the dynamic and stuff like that. It's understanding more, studying more the band, but I actually don't know names of all of them. Like, I know, I'm like an OG, so I not in like a way of like I'm an OG, but it's like I remember things like I people might not remember, and I was like sometimes I don't know if I have somebody to tell those things that sometimes like I think about like um there's definitely Chris Motionless, of course, and there is Ricky Horror, which everybody knows about him because everybody ships him with Chris Motionless, definitely. And everybody got excited when he got more lines and the newest albums, the 3 newest albums, he got way more lines, and he actually got a better singer. His cover of Eternally Yours really started making people like him more and get attracted to him more and more interested in him more. If you don't understand what I'm talking about and you don't know Motionless in White, I would recommend you leave this right now. Go listen to them. Actually, don't go listen to them, but like open a Spotify or like something right now. As you're seeing this, stop it, play Motionless in White. I would give you a recommendation right now. Play like it's as a genre, it's metal. Like, how can I describe it? Emo? It's kind of like emo. It has like the of being emo. It's like, where are you? You know how it has like the so it kind of has this, but it's metal. And it's goth in a sense of the topic they talk about. It's also like vampire aesthetic, and it's also finding beauty in the tragedy. I would recommend you listening to Reincarnate. I don't know what the name of the album is, but it's like red. Let me see. You know what? Let me see. But okay, Reincarnate by the album Reincarnate by the band Motionless in White. Also, Everybody Sells Cocaine. Not that I particularly listened to that song a lot, but I just remembered it for some reason. I think I only listened to it once or twice actually, but I guess you should listen to it. I don't know. Cinematic. Queen for Queen. The whole Creatures album, which is like the second album that they have. The first album is when Love Met Destruction, is when they were most dramatic. You can see them like pale faced and like long black hair and stuff like that. Very like vampire core. If that's something that interests you, you can like see that album. Every album has kind of like a bit of a different vibe. Creatures was also kind of vampire, misfits type energy, like with London Terror and Creatures, a song literally named Creatures. What else do we have here? We Only Come Out at Night, Abigail, Cobwebs, Men with Scissors Hands, sorry, Dracula. All of these songs. Scissors Hands is like such a good song, and it made me cry. I cried. I legit cried because it's such a good song, and it tells such a tragic story. I want to finish doing this right now and go listen to it and think smoke a joint. Like I love it so much. So yeah, definitely makes you feel like you live in a world of vampires. You live in a world of witches, like they describe like Abigail and stuff like that. But they also pump you up because they talk about how they manifest life for themselves and how they you know fight against all odds. They have usually goth music would challenge Christianity, um, sometimes in the form of Nazism, sometimes, but sometimes in the form of atheism and rebellion against Christianity. There's like many songs like Blaspheme With Me is like he talks about God forbids us from sleeping together before we are married, but I'm willing to blaspheme with you if that's what it takes, because like I want to have you so bad. Like I'm willing to sin in front of God because I want you so bad. Like the Christian God doesn't want me anymore. I don't want him anymore because like I just can't sacrifice you for that, So challenging Christianity was always a subject in the goth culture. And that's kind of like also a big part of what they're doing. Like Immaculate Misconception talks about, and the video clip is in a church, and it talks about how like people from the religious community and from like spectrums of society like that, I would say, who judge them for the way that they, I guess, present their thoughts, because metal is very aggressive, and like maybe they could say it's like barbaric or something. It's like a devilish way of releasing all of those opinions that they have, like, whatever. So they're basically challenging Christianity in a sense of like, we don't, and capitalism. They like challenging capitalism as well, in a sense of like, oh, fuck your God, um, um, fuck, praying to a God that doesn't exist, or praying to a God that you don't even believe, like stuff like that. They're really coming at Christianity or religious people that come after them to kind of say like eye for an eye, like, they're very real. That's what I'm trying to say, that they're very real. I'm describing how I can actually connect to the story that they are telling through every album. The like very new albums really talk blatantly about them creating their own reality. Like they have a song called um Meltdown, that they're basically saying in the chorus, run away, manifesting destiny. No escape, I'm trying to find my place, something. This is our apocalypse, doomsday at our fingertips. So it makes you think, first of all, so much. Second of all, trying to figure out what they meant by saying it, right? Because I don't know, goth music I really like to analyze, especially like because of Bauhaus, how like simple it is, how Nirvana is simple, how Bauhaus is simple, in a sense of like you don't have much information, and I like to understand the situation, the information, what I'm getting, so it makes me kind of like analyze the small things that I'm getting and make a story out of it or make something out of it. So I like when they give you that. And I can say only good things about that band, rather than, well, that if tragedy in relationships triggers you in some way, then, I mean, it's not like really bad, but it's like, if you're in a bad state, I wouldn't suggest listening to it. It will make you cry. It would make you stronger, in my opinion, because it tells you literally what you're going through, how fucked up it is, what you need to do to get out of it, and the next song is going to be like you're getting out of it. They always do that, which is super inspiring, but like it might not be the best thing for you, is what I'm saying. So they portray a lot of tragedy in a beautiful way, in a very realistic way, which makes it a bit more difficult to listen to at times. Even for me, sometimes songs that I like cinematic, I can't right now. Like I can't listen to it. It's heavy, and I love when it's heavy, but it's like heavy and like the sky is on fire and we lie wide awake. It's like you see, super exaggerated, super dramatic and theatrical, you know? And you automatically imagine that in your head, like Diva Destruction has a lyric, and The Fourth Knife, that's a song that's like uh get back on my back before you're, I don't know, something. So she's like basically describing how he's jumping on her back, so he is avoiding somebody stabbing his back. to avoid backstab. Always be on my back to avoid backstabbing. So basically, yeah. And she also talks about a lot about people who like rather cheat or rather watch pornography than be with the ladies. Like there's so many ladies in the world and they rather like cheat, go off with prostitutes or stuff like that. There's many subjects in all of these bands, all of these wonderful choices that you've got here. I'm also going to be leaving my playlist here. If you're more of a metal person, I will also have a video especially for you because I am a metalhead as well as I'm a goth. I just listen to both of them, and like I said, I listen to all types of music. And if you have more opinions that you want to give me on the bands that I gave you, and if you have any recommendations for me, maybe, perhaps, I would love to hear it, and I would love you to communicate with me, because I'm an SI, I love communication, and I love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sitting down with me through this kind of like chit chat. I guided you through your goth journey. It was kind of like a guide, kind of like I treated you as not as a beginner, but because I know deep down we don't want to be treated when we start. We don't want to be treated as like a baby bat. You know how they say a baby bat. You probably knew this for a while, but you couldn't act on it for some reason. Or like feared acting on it, but you always knew it. So you're not a baby bat. You just is a bit of a late bloomer in that sense. But I just see you eye to eye because I know that if you're here, then this video suits you and you should watch it and you relate to it in some way. So yeah, I hope I could help you and I could increase your music taste a bit. I hope you can do the same for my music taste. And I had a wonderful evening hanging out with you. And I will leave all of my social medias and everything down below, my podcast as well. I have a podcast, you know that. It's on this channel sometimes. Usually on Spotify, but sometimes also on this channel. It's in Hebrew, it's not in English. You can use a translator, or you can fucking learn Hebrew, or I don't have anything. Or you already know Hebrew, that's perfect, and you're gonna go watch it, listen to it, whatever. Goodbye, lovely people. Have a wonderful evening, and drink something warm before you go to sleep. Meditate a bit. Your affirmation for today would be, they won't change my mind. I don't know why, but I feel like that suits you for today. They won't change my mind. They won't. Stand your ground, bitch. Stand your ground.